Everybody. I would like to welcome Team Herd to the Innovation Action pitch.
Thank you. My last ever college spring break was 2 weeks ago. While my friends were relaxing on a beach or getting some work done, I spent my spring break on my couch, in pain, taking anti-nausea medication around the clock. I couldn't reach out to any of my friends for help because I didn't want to bug them during their fun times, but I had no one to talk to. I was so alone. My name is Julia, and I have a chronic, rare, incurable medical condition called gastroparesis. And what I was doing over spring break was managing a symptom flare-up. But my story is not unique.
Currently, in the United States, there are over 133 million people living with chronic illness, and many of them, like Julia, also experience cycles of unpredictable symptom flare-ups. Through our research, we interviewed patients representing over 15 different chronic illnesses, and despite the variation in their type of illness, we heard similar pain points in their experience, particularly during these symptom flare-ups. Like Julia, our interviewees expressed a feeling of isolation and a critical need for support during these stressful times. Feelings of isolation have a domino-like effect that can lead to increased rates of depression, inflammation, and overall poorer health outcomes. While experiencing a symptom flare-up, feelings of isolation are often heightened and made worse by the lack of empathetic support that's also positive, which, if it were available, could actually help alleviate stress during these moments. Our interviewees expressed that current avenues for support, while there are many, both online and in person, they're not ideal. Available support options provide benefits, however, they often leave large gaps in patients' needs. Current support is often energy-intensive to access, can be negative, particularly in online spaces, and may not be timely and/or does not provide the empathy of someone who understands what it is truly like to live with a chronic illness.
And that's why we've created Herd, a listening ear when chronic illness patients need it the most. Herd is a place where people living with chronic illness can go to receive on-demand support from others who also are living with chronic illness and who really understand what they're going through. It works similar to a bat signal. When someone is experiencing a symptom flare-up, they can send out their signal to the Herd community. When the signal is received by someone in the community, they can answer their call for help and be the hero that they need. This process repeats every time that a bat signal is sent out, exposing people to a large network of others that they can share their story with. We wanted to test that this kind of idea of on-demand randomized support would be beneficial, so we ran a pilot test. We recruited for our pilot using support networks, patient advocates, and influencers in the space. The pilot ran for 2 weeks. We had 20 people interested, 14 people participate, and by the end, we had a 40% retention rate. We used Instagram as the medium for messaging and divided people into 2 groups, people who would send support messages and then people who would answer their calls for support. The participants were instructed to direct message the Herd page ran by those people who were answering their messages when they were in a flare or in need of support, and an available peer would answer that message, and then they would have a conversation. We surveyed our participants at the middle and at the end of the pilot to determine our success. By the end, 83% of people said that they were satisfied with the support that they either gave or received, and over half said they would use Herd if it were a real product. We also brought our idea to over 70 healthcare professionals through a survey and got to get feedback, and we had an overwhelmingly positive response. 98% of respondents said that they would recommend our product to their patients. Our initial design of Herd started with some simple wireframes that we built off of high-level assumptions informed by our earlier research. Based on the user feedback from the pilot, as well as feedback from usability testing with the wireframes, we created our current model of Herd. Every user starts by going through a positive support onboarding training. They are then taken to the homepage, which can be seen here. When a user is experiencing emotional distress due to a flare-up, they can send out a support request to the Herd community, a group of others living with chronic illness. That's their bat signal. A prompt will come up asking them to explain a bit about what they were feeling. The request will then be received by the last 5 users that were online. When someone sees the request notification, they can open it, get a preview of who is requesting the support, and if they choose to respond, they will be connected for a one-on-one conversation. After the conversation is over, both users will be prompted to rate each other and have the option to award badges, save the conversation, and add that other user to their support network so that they're able to contact them directly whenever they need.
And this kind of support, positive, on-demand, peer-to-peer support, is something we want to make available to anyone, no matter their financial needs. And because of this, we want to create a fully functional, free platform. And in addition to it, we want to increase the capacity of our platform by offering a premium upgrade. This premium upgrade would allow people to have an unlimited number of people added to their networks, and in addition to that, save as many conversations for future reference as they want. Our features, on-demand, positive, peer-to-peer support, our functionality and our pricing model are designed to fill a unique set of gaps within the current market space and ultimately better meet the needs of people living with chronic illnesses, specifically during those moments of symptom flare-ups. With effective marketing, we are targeting reaching a population of almost 5 million potential users with our product. 5 million people finally having their experiences heard and validated. Currently, we are working to refine our platform user experience, develop a minimum viable product, and validate our model of how many users we would need to be sustainable. Additionally, the money earned from innovation and action, as well as other investors that we will cultivate, we want to develop a large-scale pilot to run within the next year to test our design, pricing plan, and measure our impact. Our goal is to build an evidence-based program that will allow us to get research on the effects of isolation, as well as the impact of on-demand positive peer-to-peer support, specifically through an online platform. We'll start with business-to-consumer model, selling our premium features to users. And after seeing success with this, we hope to market to businesses looking to improve employee and/or student health. We are Team Heard, and collectively, we have expertise in public health, healthcare, mental health research, as well as user experience research and design. We also have a team of healthcare professionals in the industry who will serve as mentors and alleviate blind spots that we might have. Together, our team and our mentors, along with our rich resources available at the University of Michigan, we can make Heard a reality for people just like Julia.
Great job, team.
Thank you.
Judges, why don't you kind of jump right in with questions?
Great.
So my first question is around privacy, and you mentioned saving conversations. How are you going to steer clear of PII and other HIPAA type things?
Yeah, I can take that one. So I'm going to bring you down to our legal slide. So the way that we're avoiding HIPAA issues of any kind is to make any data that is shared completely voluntary. So it's an opt-in process. People can choose to be anonymous, or they can choose to disclose as much information as they want about their illness.
And then similar to that would be liability as far as the people giving advice. I mean, I know it's peer-to-peer and I've been there, but how do you keep that separate from your company providing that type of a service?
Right. Are you referring to like medical advice?
Yeah, so I know what I went through what you're going through, and this is what I did, and then that had a bad outcome, right?
So we actually ran into that with our pilot. That's kind of where we first faced that challenge. And the way that we did it was we had consent forms as well as on every page and in our emails and communications. We said that this is not a place to give medical advice. And we made that very explicitly clear. And the way that that would show up in our final product, we do have that positive support onboarding and training. Along with the positive support training, that would be included in the onboarding as well. Just to make sure that people know that this is not a place for medical advice. And another way, because besides the medical advice, we kind of had the issue of maybe mental health and possible suicide and other topics like that coming up. We do have an in-chat support option where there is crisis help and the suicide hotline, just to cover our bases and make sure that people are equipped with the resources they need if it goes beyond what our app can do.
Good, thank you.
Have you guys had a conversation with primary care physicians or physicians who end up typically dealing with these chronic conditions? And if yes, what's been their reaction?
You want to take that, Anthony?
Yeah, so we actually sent out a survey. We surveyed about 70 different healthcare professionals ranging from MDs to oncology doctors, nurses of every field, dietitians, including mental health practitioners. And we had an overwhelming positive response when we presented our idea to them. We had 98% of the survey respondents say that they would recommend our product Herd to their patients. And so we do have a strong backing from the medical community for our product.
Thank you.
Can you talk a little bit about your plan with the expanded pilot and how you want to test out getting people to evolve from the free to the premium paid option, kind of helping us to understand the overall sustainability of the business?
Sure. So like what we did with our pilot, that was with, at the end, we had 14 people in it. And so basically we want to replicate something similar to that, but hopefully with a larger user base. Our demographic, we're really targeting anybody that has a smartphone. And so we want to see, one, is this sustainable within a larger population? So something maybe like targeting at the University of Michigan, finding people around here, given what a robust research institution this is, and then seeing, like testing those things, like does this pricing point. So from a survey that we did, we asked people, how much would you be willing to pay for this? And so they said somewhere between like $1 to $5 on the high end. And so we'd want to test out, is that something that if you still were paying for this and the type of support you're receiving, would that be sort of a valid price point for that? Again, also in that pilot, testing sort of the user experience with that. Is it still meeting their needs? And then ultimately, we want to see really, does this app and, having these users going through this positivity training and providing this support really actually make an impact on their feelings of isolation? The goal would be to see that that gets reduced. And so we'd want to test that in a larger setting before, really going forward with it to make sure that this is something that is viable and actually making an impact.
Yeah, and in addition to sustainability and revenue, we're looking at 2 additional streams of revenue. The first one is selling advertising space to researchers, hospitals, and universities so they can advertise their clinical trials on our platform. So that's one of them. And then the other way that we can potentially make revenue that we're looking at is when patients opt in to sharing their data, their demographic data, their chronic illness data with us. We are looking at sharing that data with universities, researchers, again, to make money off of that as well. But again, we really want to emphasize that that's an opt-in option for our users because we really know how privacy and data privacy is important to our user base.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions from our judges?
And just one other,
Yeah,
I,
great. Thanks, Doug.
I noticed you're choosing to start with a B2C type relationship, but maybe it's worth considering a B2B through like an employee assistance program.
Yeah.
So making this module something that's there and have it packaged as a bigger business enterprise, which will do 2 things. One is will do 3 things. One is negative, and it's going to limit your income or it's going to reduce your revenue potentially. But the other 2 is it's going to provide you a credible platform that's already existing that you can bolt into. And then the second part is that it insulates you a little bit from a liability concern.
Yeah.
What do you think of that?
Yeah. Do you want to talk about Fitbit later?
Yeah, so I think, so sort of 2 things with that. One, I think the reason why we wanted to start maybe with more like a B2C model was, again, we're really focused on this like user experience of it. Then like Julia was mentioning, Fitbit has actually done something like that where they are now working with like larger organizations or companies, basically trying to improve employee health with that. And so I think that, like what you're talking about, would be a great way to do it. I think we sort of talked about the idea that this is something, given sort of how pertinent mental health issues are on college campuses, that this would be a great way to start with that. Again, having like a larger user base and really being able to make a wider scale impact that would be funded, by a university that would really be invested in something like this.
Elizabeth, do you want to pull up that financial impact slide? Because we do have data on companies and businesses and how much this is costing them, not directly related to flare-up emotional support, but they are losing income due to chronic disease. So we do think it is definitely a potential for interest from them. So to answer your question, yes.
Thank you.
All right, we're kind of running into the zero from Sam. I just want to thank Team Herd. Oh, let me put my video back up. There we go. Now you can see my face. Hello. So thank you, Team Herd. We will see you again at 3:30. We really appreciated your presentation today. Great work.
Nice job.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
Great
Nice
job.
work, folks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great work. Later.
Did we just do that? There we go. Oh wait, you're still on here. Oh, it's just us. I think we can keep this, right?
I think so.
We're done.
Oh my god.
Wait,
Air high
excuse me,
five.
it's still recording. It's still
Yay.
recording.
Is
We
it?
should
Oh.
get
Oh,
off.
that's okay.
Nice.
Whatever. They can see our celebration. Let's hop
Yeah.
on and hang out.